Hello, and welcome back to Jackblade's channel. I'm Jackblade, and today we're playing Satisfactory again. And we're doing like a beginner's guide style thing. This is episode 3. And last time we automated some power and pulled in all of our resources and stuff. Now, we've done a lot of prep work. It's been going very slowly. I bet there's a couple of you who are a bit frustrated, like why hasn't he done more? Why hasn't he built more? And I will reiterate what I've said before. Laying down the groundwork is what actually gets this to be really good. So this episode is going to be intense. There's going to be happening a lot. And we will be making all of the basic resources at the end of this. So we're over here by the concrete input. So something that we need to take care of first is concrete, because concrete is the base resource which we will be using to build pretty much every single base, factory, road, like whatever you want to call it. This is the base resource that's going to be used for the rest of the game to build those things. So this is number one, and the way something that we have to think about when we're building these things, right, is the space it will take. The reason why I have separated them the way that I have is to give myself enough space to work with it. That said, I will probably have to expand. I will be doing that like all over this place, around the corner, over there, and everything to make all of this. But like something to keep in mind is number one, we're getting 2 lines. Right now they are Mark 1, so we're only getting 60 coming in there, 60 coming in there. That's 120. We want to get the full capacity of this built up. We want to get the full 240. There's 120 coming from that one and 120 coming from the other one. So it's just that the belts are too slow, so we're not getting the full efficiency. We will have fixed that at the end of this section so that we have the full thing being built up. And I will also show you exactly like what I was thinking when it's done. But for now, I'm just gonna go over here and we will build and see what happens, or see what have happened when it is built. Alright, so here we are with the concrete line having been built. And these are also working at full capacity now. I have switched everything out. You can see they are Conveyor Belt Mark II, because I decided to fix that. And this is a very simple thing to do. When you have the belts, you can upgrade them. You click E to switch between, or you hold E to get a radial, or you can go into the build menu, like here, to pick exactly the belt you want. You can also put them in your hotbar by moving them around with the num key. So you just hover over the one you want, and you press like 3 there. You see how it changed? Like if I want it back here, I can go like that. So, but these are all, like these categories, and all of it is on the same radial menu. So yeah, this is pretty easy. I've upgraded everything, so it's Mark II. We're getting good, fast belts, like pulling in all of our concrete. It goes into these buffer storages over here, right? And then from that, they are pulled in here. This is the main line in, and these are smart splitters, because I also want to show you what the smart splitter does. So you can open these. You can't do that with a normal splitter. Like if I take a normal splitter, let's grab one of those. Conveyor splitter, there we go. And I try to open this. There's no menu, it's not interactive. So smart splitters lets you decide a little bit. You can filter a little bit. It's not the same as like the full end game, like programmable splitter, but here you go. I've set it so that its primary output is to the left, where it will send limestone, which you can see this is the front of it, right? Coming in here, which means that this is the left. So left goes in here, and that's limestone, until this is full. When this goes full and stops, it sends it forward instead, because that's where the overflow goes. It's forward, and the right one is just none, so it can't go here. Even if I connected a belt here, nothing would come out. And then same thing here. I've done exactly the same thing. And then I have a merger here, because here I have a smart splitter that does the same thing, which means that my maximum, right, is 120 right now on one belt. So how do I utilize 240? Well, this machine here uses 45 per minute, and this one uses another 45 per minute. That means that over here, after this, there's a maximum that comes out here of 120 minus 90. So we get 30 from here, and then I just send in another 120 that goes here to replenish this into a 120 line. So then you have 120 minus 45 minus 45, that once again becomes 30, right? And at that point, I have the remainder of the limestone that goes over into this smart splitter. I just put a smart splitter, it's literally just like set like this. So there's no overflow or anything, it just like consistency, I guess. And then here I put a merger, so all the remaining limestone after that first one just connects in here and replenishes so that we get one more full. You see 100% efficiency, and then one that makes 6 per minute. Actually, this should be 5 per minute. There. So I don't even think 5 is right. Let's see. Yeah, 5 is right, because we're making 80 concrete per minute. So let's go up here, look at the line. And you can also see how I've distributed the power. I've made sure that it doesn't cross itself anywhere. I haven't made sure that it's like a clean line of power. And this is all Mark II belts. I think these are Mark I actually, but these are all Mark II. And on the other end, if we look on the outside of this, the constructor itself, you set the recipe, right? Select recipe, pull the concrete. I'm gonna pull that out. Let's put that back in. This, when it comes out here, just to make it easy for myself, I have placed a merger here. And then in front of every single one, because I'm only getting 80 total out, so that's enough that it fits on one belt. So that's something I have to keep in mind. When we get it out on the other end, it goes over here to a smart splitter that sends concretes to the center, nothing to the left, and to the right we have output. So when this one is full, which it is, I have been AFKing to make sure that this was full to be able to show this, right? It sends it into this awesome sink, where I sink excess resources, which gives me these coupons, which will be really important for us in the next episode. We just want to make sure that we're producing these coupons. Right now, we're getting 948 points per minute. It takes 1200 points until we get the next coupon. So that's like a minute and 15 seconds. And then when this is done, this resets, and the point is always going to be higher and higher. We need more and more and more and more points the more of these coupons we make throughout the entire save. Like, this doesn't reset ever. So that's why, like, use your awesome sync coupons responsibly. So how does this work? If I take out a stack here, you will see that it stops going into the sink and just goes straight into here. So the second, let's say that it's filled up, boom, now it stops. The next time concrete comes into the splitter, it is now going into the overflow section. That's why smart splitters are so important, because it means that you're always using your resources for something. Now, what you could do, and what I will do later, is split this out from here and put another container, probably so I have 4 containers, like 1, 2, and then 1 here and then 1 there. So I have 4 containers that get filled up with concrete. The reason is I want a lot of it stacked up for when I'm like doing big building projects and using big blueprints and stuff like that later down the line. So yeah, here I have a full, I'm gonna fly, let's see, fly. There we go. You can see it from above. Yeah. So here we go. This is the full concrete line. Okay? So you can copy this exactly the way you want it, or like you can do it however you want. This is how I've decided to set this up. If you have other solutions that works, go for it. Like I'm not saying that you can't. You definitely can. So whatever you feel is comfortable to do to make sure that you have as much concrete as possible, go for it. This is just how I decided to set it up with a smart splitter and merger combined like manifold that replenishes. Like this would be completely unnecessary if we had the next tier of belts that can actually transport 200 and I think it's 270 per minute. So because of that, this would be completely unnecessary. I could just make one, like I could merge them over here and pull them into one container and then pull them into one line and get exactly the same result because belts are so much faster. So the belt is the big limiter and the big thing that you have to design around to get this to work. Okay, so now that we've done this, what is our next step? Our next step is going to be to smelt some iron. We need to put 3 times, what is it? Let's see. If I do iron, you can check this. Press N, and you can just search up any recipe you have unlocked. Iron ingots. So 30 in is 30 out. And we have 360 in, so we will get 360 out in terms of iron ingots, which we will then also be producing other materials with. And thinking about like, okay, there's 120 there, 120 there, 120 there. So we need 3 belts hooked up to 3 separate systems of smelting. So we need to set up these smelters, right? Each smelter, or each smelter line, needs 4 smelters. So that's 4, 8, 12. And I can do this in different ways. I could, for example, just make one long ass line of smelters that goes all the way out, right? That has like just replenishes so that like I have 4 of them placed and then I have the next belt just coming into a splitter and just like go like up and then in like that. And I could do that, but I kind of want to add some verticality to give myself a challenge later on when I'm building like the design around the factory and stuff. So I want to add some verticality and I want to add some like offset. So the first line will probably be around here on the floor, and then I will have a like another floor ceiling, and then place another 4 on top. That is like if one line is here, that line is here, and then I have the third line up on top of that. That is like over here, or something to that effect. And then I will pull that down and make sure that I have the resources ready to move out with. And let's see, I think that is a big thing. I won't be like fixing the belts yet. I will be doing like a big upgrade of that, all of that later, because I want to have the ingots produced first of all, for copper as well. So let's go and make the iron and see how I... So here we go. We're smelting all of our iron ore. Okay, so we're smelting all the iron ore, right? And the way that I decided to do it was what I said before about like having an offset. I put it out first on a long line and I looked at it for a little bit and I looked at it from up there and I looked at it from up there and I looked at it from up there and it looked I wasn't like super certain that this is what I liked or this is what I wanted. So I tore that out and I did it again and I built this. And I had to cut it really close for it to work, but I think it did. So here I have the mergers smelters, right? And Can you get out of my way? Am I stuck now? Okay, no, I'm not. First line goes in here, splits evenly amongst these four. Very easily goes there. And then I have the second line goes in here, goes up one floor, and goes in and does the same thing, literally. Just nothing weird about it. I have decided to not place containers though. I've just pulled them out. The same thing with next floor, literally the same thing. Then I pull them out. Sorry, I sneeze. There. So I pull it out and I put it here because this is not going into. I don't need a like intermediary storage for this. I'm just pulling this, gonna put this straight into the next step of production, and that's gonna be it. Okay, so now that we have set up the iron, we will go straight over and continue very quickly. Then we will make the copper, because we're getting to a very important part of Satisfactory that I think you guys will find fun, confusing, and challenging. And that is going to be, how do I put, no, what are they? Oh, load balancers, there they go. So let's go over to the, let's make the copper line first, and then I will explain like what we're going to do after that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We now have copper being produced. So over here, it's being pulled in. Same thing, we only have one line of 120. So I pull that in, nothing weird. And have the mergers pull everything together and pull it out here. It's the same recipe as the other one. It's a 1-to-1, 30 in, 30 out. Nothing weird. We're not plugging into a sink yet. We're like, that comes later down the line. We also need to be conservative of how we use our power and like all that kind of stuff. So it won't be until later. And let's see here. Yeah, exactly. I fixed that. I did that, didn't I? I actually set up the belts Mark II. I think I had to pause for a little bit. So I don't. Let's see. Yeah, they're all Mark II, aren't they? This is also Mark II. I just need to double check this. I will be right back. All right. Yeah. So I have actually fixed everything, so everything is belt Mark II right now. I basically just pulled out all the iron and handcrafted everything. So if you look in here now, I have a few of them left, but most of it I've literally just turned into belts instead, and replaced every single belt all the way up to the miners, so that we have the full capacity of the miners, pure like mining node, pure quality. Like it's all Mark II. You can see, yeah. And it's easy to know if you've messed up, because you'll notice that you get like a full belt in one place, and then after like elevator, you get like half of it if you've forgotten to fix like an elevator or something. So you will very easily notice that, okay, I've missed somewhere. I've missed to do something to fix this. So in general, that means that we now have all the copper, iron, and concrete being in its full production, and then we still have the parts that we need to make with the iron and the copper. And we're gonna start with the copper, but number one thing we need to do with this first is we're splitting this, because not all of this will go into and become wire. Some of it will become copper sheets. So what do we need to do? Because here's the thing. This is 120. And if I take a splitter, let's say I take one of these, I put that here, because we need to split it, and I plug that in. If I plug this in here on one end, if I plug it into 2, I'm gonna get 60 here, I'm gonna get 60 here. Or if I split them with 3, I'm gonna get 40, 40, and 40. What I need is one line ahead with 60, or sorry, one line ahead with 80 and one line ahead with 40 on it. So what we're going to be doing is what's called a load balancer. And this is the absolute baseline, super mega beginner friendly what's it called, load balancer, and I will explain it to you once I've built it. Be absolutely right back. Actually, I changed my mind. I figured like I might as well actually show how I'm doing it. So what we first need to do is let's grab a splitter. I'm gonna place that so that it is in front. What do I want? I want it there in the middle. Let's pull that in, right? And I want all three of them working. So I'm gonna pull this out to here. Actually, let's pull that. I'll probably adjust that later. This is where the copper for the copper sheets are going. But both of these, we need to go into one place. That place being a merger. Alright? So what I'm going to do, because I want this somewhat symmetrical, here. Can I do this? Let's try it out. Well, it's two steps. Here. 1, 2. And if I put it here and then grab it, I will get a nice 90-degree curve. Same thing here. 1. There. And then boom. And then what I have is 40 plus 40 merged into one single 80 line. And then I pull that out. Let's be, just for showcasing sake. There. So now we have 40, 80. So this, let's see if I can fly above so I can show you this. There we go. So, it's the absolute basics of load balancing. Sometimes it's like you need to split it, so now you have 80, and then you need to split that 3 times again to get like uneven numbers and stuff like that, depending on how like efficient you want to be. One very easy way of solving all of this is if you know you're going to be using 100% of these 80 for something, is you turn this, you can just remove all of this, right? You can take this, I'm gonna remove bunch of stuff here just to show you guys. Here's a little bit of quick tutorial. I just need to aim here so I don't remove anything by accident. And then in logistics, go to the smart splitter. I could just use this and effectively have the same result. So let's see. I'm gonna do this. I need to replace you. Right, that goes in, and what I do is in the center I have any, but on this I have overflow. So if I'm using 80 on this line, like here I have 80, or I want 80, and here I want 40. What I make sure is that at full capacity, any machines that I place here in total uses 80. So these are at 15, right? Which means it will be also be like underclocking. I will show you exactly what I do with that and why and everything in a second. But yeah, this is like the basics of load balancing. So I'm just gonna remove this, and I'm actually going to like build up the first section of the copper and show you exactly what it looks like in the end. I'm gonna actually be using a load balancer here, because personally I want to get more used to them. I don't want to just rely on smart splitters all the time. So, copper into wire, easily done. As you can see here, I have just pulled out, made a load balancer over here that splits So it's 40, 40, 40, and then it's combined by the merger back into an 80 line that goes along this and makes wire in all of these. I haven't hooked it up to power yet and everything because I still have some stuff left to do. But I generally just wanted to show you this before I continue, so you like are with me for this journey, right? This will then go all the way down, and over here we'll be making the it's copper sheets, and we'll be making the cable somewhere over here. We're just leaving space for these iron items to be transported. Whoa, cool. And then over here, you can see that I've done the same thing where all these wires are actually dedicated to be making the cables. So I've split them off. Meanwhile, these are actually being stored. So 2 constructors worth of wire production is being stored. And then when it's done and it gets filled up, it will split off and it will sync the rest. So I have another awesome sync set up here to make sure that we get the tickets from that. So, and then this will go along here and we'll make cables out of it. All right? So, like, quite easy setup. Like, you can probably start noticing that there's a certain, like, pattern to building that I use. And this is just for now. We'll be using different patterns later on to create more, like, utilizable, that's a word, utilizable blueprints in the later game. All right, we are now back, and we have made cables as well. So this is what we had last time. I've now hooked it up to power. You can see it goes very close in line here, being very neat. And we're pulling the copper in. It's being utilized. It makes wires and send them on to these 2 constructors because that's all we need for now. 2 constructors making cables. And I've underclocked this so it only makes 20. And the other one makes its full 30. It uses 60 wire per minute to make 30 cable. So everything here is ratioed for, like, in quotation marks. You can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes right now. Perfect efficiency. And I'm also pulling in wires so we have wire available for building and crafting and stuff like that later. And then it's being synced. Same thing here with the cable. When the cable is full, which I think it is already, yeah. When the cable is full, it syncs, using a smart splitter, it syncs the remainder into a sink there, very nice. And over here, as you can see, I also finished this because it's a quite easy thing to do. So when that's split off from the load balancer, there's 40 copper ingots going down this line into these 2, and they create a perfect ratio 20 copper sheets per minute, which we will also be needing later. Okay, and then it goes over to this end, goes up here to be stored, and when it's full, it will go into this nice, awesome sink here. Or I would say it's nice, but it's actually awesome. I mean, it's literally in the name. So that is, I will fly up here so we can take a look from the above, so you guys can see what it looks like. Here we go. Here we go. This is the full basic starter base. Absolutely. Like, this is still overkill. I want to make that clear. This is still overkill for a starter base. But the reason why is because I want to be really thorough in showing you what you can do and how big you can make things. Like, you're not restricted in size that way. You can also see that, like, I have expanded out around here. You can see I've already, like, prepped, starting to go around with what I will do with that. But there's also some more stuff that I want to do. I actually want to prep for the energy expenditure that we will have. You can see that is empty. We are no longer producing. It's done. I've hooked these up to make sure that we have, like, extra storage, and it cycles through 2 extra containers, and I kind of just want to make sure that I have enough solid biofuel to run this whole thing for a long time once it's fully built, which means that I need to have more wood, and I can see a lot of it over here. So I'm going to be clearing a lot of this, and I will also be prepping for future base expansion and like connecting up to future factories that we'll be building. So like this is in no way, shape, or form the only place we'll be building on this map. Like if I open the menu or the map, you can see like the map is like huge. It's like massive, and I plan on utilizing a lot of that to build what I want to build in the end. So this basically means that I need to bring out my favorite tool, and we go to town on the forest. Forest gone. I've been doing a lot of this building, and I kind of want to break that up, so I will actually show you guys a different thing, and that is how do you make this, or how do you like add some depth, have some flavor to the game, and that is very easily explained by that thing up there. Let's see. Boom. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this, this. I really suck at this. Photo mode, remove UI, zoom. That thing up there. This is how we actually unlock alternate recipes. So let's get up there and see what's going on. So we are here, and I built this very rudimentary temporary thing. So what you have here are wrecks. Drop pods that did not really do so well. Like I assume this is like my former colleagues kind of things. And they tend to have these fun little tidbits you can pick up. And these can be pretty advanced resources. And even if it's like 100 hours until you can use those resources, just sync them, you get so many tickets for them. So, or tokens, like in the awesome things. So when you open these, you can see that it needs stuff to actually be built, and in this case, or to be opened, and it's pod damage. I need 5 modular frames to open it, so I will just make modular frames. Let's just open up production, craft bench, boom, and then in this I can make 5 modular frames. So I make 2 per set. That means I need to make 6 and have one just wasting in my inventory. Yeah. That's perfectly fine. I'll use it later for something else. Here we go. Dismantle that. And then I open this. And we have a hard drive. So we can use this. I'm gonna explain this, not you, Ada. So now we've opened this. This place is now useless to us. We can leave, and I'll see you back at the MAM to show you how to use this. Okay, so we're here over at the MAM. Let me just double check some things here. So, and do I have something else? Yeah, I can go with this stuff and show you and unlock some of this stuff as well. So, okay, let's go in here. The hard drive is here, and if you click on it, you can scan the hard drive. That locks the rest of it up though for 10 minutes. Everything else takes seconds. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to start researching some of this stuff because I happen to have it here, right? So this is just stuff that you need to continuously like look at. This is super important later. We need to double this detonator for other stuff later down the line. I've also unlocked, so we have these power shards. So I can now make power shards out of the yellow ones. If I find a purple one, I can turn it into power shards. 5 power shards. And let's see, for nutrients, let's unlock this. I think I have enough. Yeah. I'm just unlocking what I can here, right? And then Perfect. And then in alien organisms, I don't have that. Do I have that? I do not. I do not. I only have the plasma spitters. So let's open up that. Boom. And then if I turn this into the alien protein, which I unlocked, I can then make these, which I can also sync, and these are 1,000 points each. So if you have 100, that's 100,000 points. And you get these, you can get these very easily by just running around the island and killing things and grabbing their remains, like the spider remains, the hatcher remains, the hog remains, and the spitter remains. And then you can use that to unlock bioorganic properties. The alien DNA capsule, which gives you the 1,000 points per capsule thing, and then you can have like a lot of biomass production as well. So yeah, and then you can have like extra inventory slots, hand equipment slots, stuff like that. It's like the MAM is super good for that. But the hard drive, that's a big thing. The hard drive, the big thing that it does is just give you alternate recipes, and we'll be looking at that at the end of this episode. Exactly what we get from this, but it takes 10 minutes. So I'm going to start it now, and we're going to come back to this once we're done with everything else this episode. On that note, we can just close this, and the next thing we will be doing is going over here, and we'll be working on our iron production, or iron material, or iron part production. Okay, this is full as well, that's perfect. How many points do we get per second now? That's interesting. We are getting 2,520 points per second. We have saved up 36 coupons, and it takes a long time now to get each new coupon. Alright, so we're moving the iron over because we don't want, like, we can't fit it in here unless we were to move it up on a whole separate floor, but I don't want that yet. I want to have, like, maximum height is like this, but on another floor. Yeah, I'm gonna show you. Either way, now we have a big section ahead of us, so let's get going, and I'll be back when I feel like I have something to show you guys. Okay, please don't blame me. I actually started watching a podcast and I got sucked into it, and I just kept building in the background, and it just happened to be like this. Yeah, so all the iron is now done, and I will show you exactly what I have done. Alright, so what I did was very easily first pull in one line of 120 iron ingots that goes into this first set of constructors that makes iron plates. And when it goes in here, it's being filled up, right? Full up here, goes into a sink, same thing. We're now making almost 5,000 points per minute with everything. And then over here, on the bottom, I've taken one of the other lines and I've turned that entirely into just iron rods. So with that, we are producing 8 times 15 iron rods. And when it's done, it just sink, like when it's full, it just goes into the sink. And then on the top floor, and this is where like the big, this always gets bigger than you think it's gonna be. Like this is think why I just got stuck doing all this. It's the screws, okay? Because we have so low quality belt or low like tier belts. Each machine is pumping out 40 per minute, which means I can only take 3 of them on a belt. So they go over to one container, and then I have a sink that sinks when it's done, and then I have done that 4 times. So I have like 4 groups of 3. So it just looks big, but it's literally just this same section. Let me actually move around here so I can show you guys. Okay, so it's the same section of 8 constructors making iron rods as before, as underneath here. Like literally exactly the same setup. Nothing weird about it. And then it goes in here, and each machine turns 10 iron rods into 40 screws. And there's 3, like 1, 2, 3, right? That makes 120, but it's the same line on the back here because the total belt usage here is actually 120. So it actually works out. Now, something I want to show you guys that is a little bit of a concern, right? Is, okay, but how much power are we using? We're using a lot of power. We're consuming 582.6 megawatts. That is a lot. We are having a capacity of 717, and what does that mean for us? What is the significance of that? Okay. Remember, as I said earlier in the episode, also I will probably have 4 of these. I have, and they are all full up with concrete. Because I AFK'd a little bit. AFKing is super important because it lets you have a little bit of balance when you're making these big ass factories. It lets you actually chill and go make some dishes, go fix some laundry, go do some homework, take a shower, like stuff like that. It's actually like the AFKing helps you balance your game time with life, is what I'm saying. In my case, I just stood here and just went and did a machine of dishes. I cooked some dinner. I planned out the next couple of episodes of my series. I have this Satisfactory, New Cycle, and Dyson Sphere Program series, and I'm kind of just planning ahead of that. So I was just being productive, just not in this game. So I was standing still here, I was passive here, but I was actually active elsewhere. So I don't just stand here and just, I can watch this fill up, right? So yeah, so everything is filled up and all that. But generally, if I go over here, boom, ba-doom. If I'm just gonna skip and hop along here to get to this point. As you can see here, I have cleared even more. I've taken so much trees out, and it's still not enough. If you look over here, this one is emptying. These are being used. Everything is being used. Like, okay, so we are using a lot of power, which means that this will run out. And one of the things that we can do, because these disperse the rate of burn between all of them depending on how much power you're using, right? So what I can do is this is a quite easy way of preserving power, is shut off some of the awesome sinks specifically, right? So in the awesome sink, you have 44 printable coupons now. I have 4,490. No, I don't want that necessarily. So what I'm going to do is click and on standby. No, this won't use any power. Right? And then I can go to the next one. And I can say, hey, dude, you drain a little bit too much power. Thank you. And go to the next one and say, hey, I'm gonna shut you off. I don't need you right now. And I can do the same thing with these two over here. And say like, hey, guys, you are a little bit too much of a power hog because each of these uses 30 megawatts. And this is like the primary thing. Like, if you want to save power, turn off your awesome things first. So that's a very easy way of doing that. And then turn off here. Let's see. I should have. Did I turn off both of these? This one's off. This one's off. That one's off. Okay. So I just want to show you guys what it looks like power usage wise, if you have no awesome things on. There we go. That's the next one. Turn you off. Here's the next one. Turn you off. Turn you off. And finally, we have now turned off all of our awesome things. So let's see what's the power at. Here you go. 284. Right? So you can see how massive of a difference turning off all of your awesome things does. right? So because I already have a ton of these coupons, right? If I turn this on and I click print coupons, ta-da, I now have 44 of these. Easy peasy. That means I have some tickets to work with. I don't necessarily need to mess around with more, and I won't be using that until the next episode anyway. So, like, I'm just gonna leave these off, right? Until I need more tickets, and then I can turn it back on. I just have it right now, right? So here I've fixed all of the iron, it's up, and they're just now filling up instead, and then once they're filled up, everything's gonna stop, which means the power usage will go down even more. Like, we're probably gonna be... Yeah, I bet we're gonna be down so that we only use the wind turbines, right? Because of the smelters, the constructors, like literally the entire factory will stop because it backs up. Because the awesome things aren't done. So that's a great way of just instantly going into power saving mode. So that's something that you can easily do to control your power usage over time. Now, we are finishing up this episode, and that means the magic moment has come. We're going to be checking what alternate recipes we've gotten. Analysis complete. The analysis of hard drive is completed. Select your desired reward. So, we get alternate recipes here, which means that we already have a recipe, right? For screws. But this one uses iron ingots instead of iron rods to produce screws. It also makes more screws per minute. So, and then you look at like, okay, but how many of these iron ingots are used per what's it called? How many of these iron ingots are used per iron rod kind of thing? So what is the efficiency? I'm gonna pick this one so we can look at that. Right? Okay. So if we go in here and we search for screw, we now have two recipes here, right? And we look at the iron rod and we can look at this, and it uses 12.5 iron ingots to make 50 per minute. And if we look at the iron rods, they're out here, so I can just click that. It's a 1-to-1, meaning that this one uses 10 to make 40. This one uses 12.5 to make 50. So the efficiency is the same. It's a 25% increase in resource to get 25% more out. The big thing, the very important thing that makes this recipe more effective is actually the fact that I don't need to produce iron rods. So I could reduce power usage. If I make a future factory that makes screws, I can completely skip the step where I have to have a separate line just making iron rods and draining power, because each of these uses 4 megawatts, right? So if I want to make a big factory, let's say that I need to place 100 constructors just making iron rods. Those 100 constructors, they are gonna run 400 megawatts. I can now completely skip that and just place the constructors or the smelters first to make the iron ingots and the constructors to make the screws. I can completely skip that, so it completely revamps how I make screws. That is what the alternate recipes are for. And that's why they're so important. So do take the time now and then to just go around the map. Be careful so you don't die. Like, if you die, you end up back at your hub. That's no problem, right? But if you find these, you can easily look at what they need. Sometimes they need power. Sometimes they need material you don't have. Just skip those or place down a bioburner. Like, bring some fuel with you and just place down a biomass burner and shove some fuel in it so you get the wattage required, depending on how high that wattage is. Sometimes it's quite high. And you can just grab the hard drives and just collect them and just have them running in the background to unlock exactly what you need. Alright, so What will we be doing next time? Let me fly up here. Ta-da! You can see that I've cleared a lot. I've cut down so much forest. And what we will be doing next time is making this place look nice. Because that is what the awesome sink and the awesome shop is all about. We will be unlocking alternate foundation. We'll be alternating between different like walls. We can make different foundation shapes. We'll be going through all of that in the next episode. And on top of that, we will be finally be looking at the space elevator and unlocking new advanced parts. And with those parts, we will be making so much new cool stuff, and we will make this place finally look like what it could be. So, love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share, join the Discord, do all the cool stuff that all the cool kids do, and I'll see you in the next one.